Today we are having an interview with a poet called David Rollins, who first came to us in 2017 to have his book published. I'll let you give him a bit of an introduction and then we'll go on to the questions.
Good morning. My name is David Rollins and I'm a poet and author published with Green Cat Books. I've been writing most of my life. I took English A level, well O level then A level, and I've been writing since then. I've mostly been writing poems. They're easy to write, you can pick up a pen, just write a poem, edit it again, edit it another 10 times till you like it, and that's how most writers get started.
So, how long did it take you to write your first book? And what made you decide writing your first poetry book? And what was your inspiration for writing your own poetry book?
I first wrote the book that was published when I was in a mental health hospital for 3.5 months. Now, after a suicide attempt some 13 years ago, I was in a writing class within the mental health hospital in question, and I started to write haiku, which I'd come across before. Although haiku, which is a 17 syllable poem on 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and then a final 5 syllables, it's mostly a Japanese style poetry aimed at nature and the environment, but it can be used for urban observations. I went back to my ward and I started writing haiku, and by the end of the 3.5 months that I was in the hospital, and for a short time afterwards, I wrote down my observations, people, patients, nurses, smells, things that I saw, just very simple things, and writing them in a short haiku, just one after another, helped me to purpose my time in there. And once I came out, I realised I'd written 350 poems, roughly. I found a publisher by accident. Lisa of Green Cat Books was a friend, and just in conversation mentioned that she was a publisher, and shortly afterwards she published those 350 haiku in a book which was called Haiku from the Asylum, and each of the pages has some of the poems on. Each poem can be taken in its own standalone setting, just as a reflection, a small picture of what life was like in that mental health hospital and what I was like as a mental health person. I guess that was my first actual book, and as I say, that took about 3.5 months to write. I edited it a few times. There was some haiku I wasn't happy with, but on the whole, it was as it stands.
So, that's quite a good thing that's come out of something that started off quite bad, I suppose. So, do you write in any other genres?
Having published my first book, which was amazing just to see it in print, I then started to look through my other files, and there were other books that I'd written in different genres that just needed a bit of completion here and there. One book that I wrote was Horsey. It's a children's book aimed at about 7 to 10 year olds, and I'd written it some 20-25 years ago, never happy with the ending. And this is an important thing, you don't have to write the whole book at once. You can put it down, leave it, come back to it. This is what I did with Horsey. And when I finally wrote the ending and sent it to Lisa, she was happy enough with it to get it published. And so Horsey became my second book. That was a children's book.
Are you writing or have you written any other books since?
I followed on from that by writing a picture book called Monster in the Fridge. Again, just a simple idea, and in picture books, just 1 or 2 lines per page. Found somebody who was willing to do the illustrations, and that was my third book. My fourth book came as a collaboration of ordinary poetry. Although I wrote haiku in Haiku from the Asylum, prior to that I've been writing ordinary poems, i.e. non-haiku poems, for decades. And collecting all of those, I collaborated with 2 other people with different mental health situations to myself. And as a collaboration, we wrote 3 insane poets, which again I was very, very pleased with.
What is your favourite book of all time, David?
I read a lot, and I think if you're a writer, reading comes naturally as well. My favourite book of all time was is Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. Jonathan Livingston Seagull I've read time and time again, and each time it amazes me.
What one piece of advice would you give to other people wanting to write?
One piece of advice I would give to anybody who is writing their own book is take your time, whether it's days, weeks, months, decades. Just write. Sometimes you'll write an extra chapter. Sometimes you'll look at it and not be able to do anything more to it. But start. You can always move chapters around if you don't like the first chapter, but get it down on paper or, in this case, computer.
Totally agree with that. You do have to take your time, and you do have to write every day, I think, as well. So what is your greatest accomplishment so far?
Besides writing, one of the things that I do is I help people with benefit claims, disabled people like myself. And one of my greatest accomplishments was receiving the Hero of Leicester Award for my voluntary work with claimants with disabilities. And that was recognised by Leicester University and the Lord Mayor of Leicester.
That's really great. I didn't know you'd had any awards for all the work that you do for disabled people. I have seen firsthand the work that you've done with disabled people and helping them get the benefits that they need, rather than what we have to go through as disabled people, me myself, of just fighting the system constantly. So that's really great. That I'm really appreciative of that. I'm sure many other people are. I'd love to see your award sometime as well, and maybe photos if you could send them on to me. So anyway, what is your favourite food? Bringing it a bit lighter now.
One of my favourite foods is curried goat with rice and peas, a Caribbean dish. Although I've eaten loads of different things over the years, curried goat remains my favourite food of all time.
That's great. I actually do enjoy. I don't like spicy food much, but I like mutton stew. I think, or mutton stew. I think it is that they do at our local Caribbean takeaway, and with dumplings. Obviously, you have to have the dumplings because they're amazing. So, what's your favourite type of music?
My favourite music of all time, classical. I always come back to classical. It calms me, it has a wave of emotion which I can feel, and it's not subjugated by words or ideas, it's just music. And I find that very relaxing and come back to time and time again.
I think classical can be very therapeutic at times as well. It can be quite upbeat as well as relaxing, depending on how you want to be. Where is your favourite place to be?
Being 60 years old, nearly 60 anyway, my body, as it should, is starting to fail. It's starting to get old, muscles are relaxing, and having fibromyalgia and a few other physical illnesses, one of the things that I find is starting to fail now is my bladder and bowel. And my most embarrassing moment, which I'm guessing you can guess by now, massive bowel movement in the middle of Home Bargains. Not fun. Sudden, spontaneous, unavoidable, but highly embarrassing. So that's my story. Those are a few things about me, and I hope you enjoy listening to it.
Thank you very much, David. That was great. Although maybe not the embarrassing moment, but thank you very much for your time, and we hope to have some more work from you soon. Thank you.